Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 9 for Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. How's it going, everybody? I've got a lot to talk about this week, so buckle up. It could be a long episode. This week, I'm talking about my trip to Halifax with the lady. It was a fantastic trip. I'm talking very briefly about the new Spider-Man movie. I had a chance to see that. Everyone knows I'm a big Marvel geek, so I had an opportunity to see that. Of course, I did a quick little featuring spot at the Absolute Comedy Prove You're a Comic competition, and I'll talk briefly about that as well. And of course, I'm going to get to your questions later on, guys. We got a lot of questions that came in this week. Very excited. And of course, with me by my side today to talk about our trip and all things last week, I have my beautiful Crystal Martin here with me. Welcome.
Hey.
How are you?
Mm-hmm.
We may as well get right into it.
Yeah.
Off the top, we went to Halifax.
Yeah.
We drove 13 and a half hours, according to Google Maps and Apple Maps, 13 and a half hours, but we ended up doing it in 15 total?
Yeah, we did pretty good though. We didn't stop that much, considering.
Yeah, we left Ottawa. So what we did, guys, we plotted a course. I think I'd mentioned all the places that we were going to go in previous podcasts, so I won't, subject you to what the plan was. But we left Ottawa by the time we had dropped off the little one and got to McDonald's for our quick little brekkie. And you had those breakfast burritos, eh? You had breakfast burrito and threw out the other one.
Yeah.
How was that?
I didn't eat the second one.
McDonald's not a sponsor. We can run with that if we want to. But so we grabbed a quick McDonald's brekkie, and we're probably on the road by 7:30.
Yep.
And after plotting our course, because we didn't know how long a tank of gas would get us for the most part. We weren't really sure where the gas stations would be or whatever, but we managed to we left at 7:30. We got to Halifax at about 11 o'clock? Yeah, we got 11 o'clock. And we, just for the record, we lost an hour due to time zones. So while we were plotting it, we were going, okay, this is great. We have to be at our Airbnb by midnight. And we have, we're going to get there by 10 o'clock. And then we're like, shit. And this was us factoring in, I think we only stopped for about an hour, maybe hour 15 total. That's all gases and pee breaks, right? I really don't think we were longer than that.
I don't think so. We were pretty quick.
Yeah, we would stop, gas, pee,
grab a coffee.
Exactly. And then right back on the road.
Yeah.
And I got to say, guys, I mean, I'd mentioned before, but I think the two of us have never been further east than Montreal before.
Yeah.
And once we passed Montreal, the roads went crazy. There was a lot of crazy highways in Montreal, further than where I've ever been downtown. That was hectic.
Yeah, I was driving, so.
No, you did
I'd
great.
say so.
She did great. But the idea is that there was a ton of roads. Ottawa, we're pretty lucky because our highway, our Queensway, is straight.
It's pretty straightforward too.
Yeah, it's a linear road.
The odd turn, you're pretty good either way.
Yeah, you don't have exits on both the left and the right of you. You don't have three different types of highways all hugging each other. Like in Toronto, they have the collectors and the express. You have three different types of area that you're on this thing. Plus, highways that bend off and shoot over. Ottawa's straight. It's one end to the other, and that's it. You either get on or get off at the right, and that's it. It's as simple as that. So, this one was a little wacky, and we ended up going, fuck it. Apple Maps and Google Maps was our partner in crime for the trip.
Yeah.
So
it's so much better. I'm using it now.
Yeah?
From now on. I used it today, and it showed me, you've arrived at home, and it showed me a picture of my home. I'm like, oh, Google,
Really?
I love you.
like a little emoji of the house?
No, it was Google Maps picture of what my address would look like.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the front of the condos?
Kind of. It's not exact. It
Right.
gives a rough idea, but still it's that's my home area.
Holy shit.
I
didn't
know.
know it did that.
I know.
That's crazy.
So
okay.
yeah, Google Maps.
Yeah. I love Apple, but they fucked up too many times in the last couple of weeks for me. The Montreal trip, I was talking about how it led me astray right into a bunch of shitty traffic. Told me I was going to save time. And it's done that to me before.
Yeah. Google's done that too a bit, but
Have they?
a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know.
What are we drinking this week? Stay tuned to find out. If you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, you'd know what we were drinking right now. And yeah, it's a Summersby product, but which one? Which one? You'll have to find out when we get to that portion. I always do that. I always just do the quick little tease, but I let them hear me slurping it and the happiness that I feel. My taste buds are a dance. It's like the prom in my mouth right now. Taste buds are all a dancing, all by themselves, right? Because it's prom. They're afraid to ask you. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, they're all by themselves because that's how taste buds work, and they won't, whatever. But yeah, so we switched to Google Maps because Google Maps, just as a side note, it'll actually tell you in the picture how many lanes there are. Because I know sometimes when I'm driving with a different GPS system or whatever, at least in the past, typically the Apple one, what would happen is it tells you like to keep right or something like that. But then there'll be like 3 different right exits in one spot. I'm like, well, what fucking one? What lane? I've been told to keep right when it wanted me to exit. I've been told to keep right when I was supposed to just stay to the right of the split, but not get off it gets confusing. Google will actually show you a small little picture with like arrows, basically showing you how many lanes there are, and then a white arrow showing you what lane it wants you to go in.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot easier than like keep right. I'm like, well, there's 3 different things I can do to the right now. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that made it very easy for us, especially with all the different places we were supposed to go on and off in Montreal. It helped out in Halifax as well. But getting back to the trip, it was a great ride. And what we had planned originally, and we ended up doing, was we were like, it's a long ride. Let's listen to podcasts. And of course, one of the ones that was suggested to us over and over again was the podcast Serial. And not to plug another podcast while I'm, doing my own, but effectively we started listening to the Serial podcast, which is like episodic. You listen to one, it's a story. Of course, like the word cereal. It's not breakfast cereal. It's cereal, like serialized, a series of podcasts. And it was okay. I'm not going to lie. I mean, everybody said that the first season was incredible, and it's the second one that starts to lose you. I don't know. What did you think, hon? It was basically like making, like the way it sounded when people were describing it is that it was like making a murderer. Someone was murdered. This woman's recounting the events of the murder. And every episode, you're learning more and more about the accused who's in jail and this and that and the other. What did you think?
It was interesting, but just like making a murderer, like you have to decide for yourself in the end. They give you a ton of information. Each of them contradicts the other. So it's like, could be this, no, it could be that. No, it could be this, no, it could be that. And then you're just left with, yeah, it really could be either or. Yeah. So here, take all that information, all those hours you spent listening to all this stuff, and you're like all the courts, I guess, who don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, it was, Making a Murderer, you and I binge watched.
Yeah.
On Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah.
We sat in our pajamas. You know what? Like we did in the car ride. We actually were like in our we're like, we have nobody to show off to.
Yeah. In gas stations, I swear I was practically in my pajamas. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be driving for hours on end in the car, you may as well be comfortable. And that's what we were. So just like on Christmas Day, when we binged Making a Murderer, we were in the car and we binged Serial. Now we didn't start Serial until later in the day. So it's not like we didn't listen to the whole thing the first day. I would say to anyone who enjoys podcasts, give it a listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
We lost interest somewhat way through. Like, again, Making a Murderer, it was almost like every episode ended and we're like, we had to just go right to the next. I don't think at any point we even questioned whether or not we're going to keep watching. Serial definitely was slower paced. I mean, it's not visual. I don't know if that makes a big difference, but at the same time, we were thirsty for entertainment in the car, right? Because we're in a car ride. You'd think that regardless of that, we'd be more... I don't know. It was well done. So in terms of like when everyone was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. You've got to listen to this. It's unbelievable, blah, blah, blah. We were kind of like, well, it's all right. Something to listen to. But I think we lost interest and we started doing other things. We threw on some other podcasts.
Sorry. Maybe it's because we binge watched it. Maybe it's one of those things that's better off watching an episode a week or listening to an episode a week. Because it keeps your interest for that amount, and then you're curious for the next week. Maybe it's just one of those things. It's not good.
Yeah.
To watch it straight.
No, you're right, and like you said too. It's, I guess for me, I knew because Matt. I'm gonna fucking out him, but he's a buddy of mine, Matt Watson. was saying he listened to it, and I was telling you that
Yeah,
I think
you never
I knew.
told me what part he said.
Yeah,
though.
so this is what Matt said.
Well, do you want to say it right on this?
Yeah, we'll do it on this. Why not?
All right.
Yeah,
So
we already.
spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't want to know anything.
Well, I don't know if this spoils it because you've already said like in the end you have to decide for yourself.
Oh shoot!
So.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
I didn't give you the alert. Sorry. Jeez.
Well, for anyone to listen, like, hey, listen to it. The idea is it's like you don't find out one way or the other, so you know as much going in as you know coming out of it.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, probably the biggest disappointment. But if you've watched Making a Murderer, it's the same way. It leaves you like, well, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the result?
Yeah.
So what Matt said to me was, Matt said, oh, you got to listen. Like, he told me this back when I was in Windsor. This was like probably a week or two, guys, before the very first episode of the podcast. He goes, yeah, you listen to this podcast, Serial. She's trying to find a murderer. She's trying to, like, there's this crime. And he goes, and I feel like I want to solve the crime. Like, I've already listened to it twice, and I'm like, I gotta know, like, I gotta solve this to figure out how it goes. And that was not reminded of that until like we were listening to it, and I'm thinking in my head like, oh, I wonder what happens. I go, wait a second. Matt says he wants to solve it. If it had a resolution, he wouldn't be trying. He wouldn't want to solve it. It's already solved and been resolved in his head. But he said he's listened to it twice. Same thing. Petter, the Summersby rep, when we were sitting down talking, he had asked me. He goes, oh, if you guys are driving, you know, have you listened to Serial? Have you heard of that? And I go, yeah, dude, it's already downloaded and it's part of our trip. Mm-hmm. So for anybody who's interested, yeah, you like podcasts, check out Serial. It's quite good. There's other seasons of it. If you read the reviews and listen to other people, everybody says the season 2 is nowhere near like season 1. They go, yeah, there's no way they could possibly repeat season 1 and season 2 in terms of like the interest and success. I found season 1 interesting, in terms of being the best story, you know, the best podcast. It got, I think it set a record of how many downloads. So it is interesting. It's cool to see what a podcast can be in terms of, you know, investigative journalism and things like that. So not to stay on this topic too long, but the idea is basically, if you're looking for a cool podcast, you want something that's a little gripping and exciting, check out Serial. I can only vouch for season 1. It's all I've heard. The reviews seem to tell you to turn away. And again, the reviews say season 1's amazing. I'm saying it's all right. So season 2 will probably be shit. But anything that you want to add to that before we move on?
Yeah, I think you covered it. It's
okay.
Good.
Yeah, I talk a lot.
No,
so we got to our Airbnb at a good time. It was dark. Mm-hmm. You know, we got there for 11 o'clock East Coast time. And our host was so accommodating. I mean, they stayed up. They showed us around the house when we got there. It was absolutely stunning. I'll post, I guess, a video. I did a quick little tour. The video has you doing your makeup on a chair and a mirror in it. So if you don't mind me putting the poster, posting the video, I'll put that up. What did you think of the Airbnb, hon?
It was gorgeous. I wish we spent a bit more time in it just to relax and stuff. It had windows all throughout the room. So you just like sat back, you could see everything, the harbor, everything. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I've got a great picture of you the day that we left while you were waiting for me to finish packing, just sort of sitting in the window. And you can't see in the picture, but you're eating a banana, drinking your coconut water. So I found an angle where they hid the banana. But I think part of what I really liked about that, that picture is that you never get to wake up and then just relax. Like you wake up and you shower, get the kids up, run around making lunches and everything. So I think there was just, I think it felt very foreign to me, the idea of you just getting up.
It did feel foreign.
Yeah. I'm like, well, it was a beautiful shot of you, basically you sitting by this giant picture window, overlooking the harbor in Halifax. And then I was just, I don't know, something seemed, odd and beautiful about it. And then I was just like, oh yeah, I never see you get up and just relax in the morning.
Well, that's it. It was so relaxing. Sometimes I'll wake up an extra 45 minutes earlier. I'll set my alarm at least almost every day 45 minutes earlier so that I'll have that 45 minutes before I wake up anyone. Just sit, watch a show, go outside, do whatever I want just to be alone. Yeah. And just be quiet and, enjoy the relax. And then I'll wake everyone up. However, I hit snooze a lot, and sometimes I miss that 45 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
but it's okay. It's a sacrifice. I know what I'm sacrificing, and sometimes I need it. So.
Yeah. No, it's very understandable.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that. And that's, of course, I've already jumped over the whole trip to the last moment of you sitting in the window. But, the Airbnb was great, guys. They had In a toilet with a heated seat. I don't think I've ever had that in my life. Go ahead.
I didn't like it.
No?
Because it felt like somebody else just sat there. So all I felt was somebody else's ass was just here. But I was like, no, it's fancy. Anyway.
Just tried to, I wish you guys could see her face right now. It
was weird. I don't know.
It's like discomfort. It's like sitting in piss in a public washroom.
Well, it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
We've been to the public bathrooms with the piss all over. So
yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
So many gas stations.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I wish you'd seen the picture of the one on the way back.
Oh,
I'm
glad I didn't.
Gross. But anyways, we had a wonderful host. I'm going to give him a shout out. Harrison, thank you very much for making us feel so welcome in your home. We were there for 2 nights. I'll get to that part in the story when we get there, but we got back real late the second night, and they left the door unlocked for us so we wouldn't have any issues getting in or anything like that, because it was like a password keypad or whatever. And they figured just rather than making it difficult, they said, well, just leave it open for you. Just lock it when you come in. And I'll tell that story too a little later on. But effectively what we did, guys, was we got there. It was 11:30. I hopped in the shower real quick, and then we went to sleep because our plan the next morning was to see the ocean for the first time. And we had our alarm set for 5:30?
I think 6. We were going to do 5:30, but then we really needed the sleep.
Yeah, we were pretty bushed. We spent a whole day in the car. So I remember waking up at 5:30 to go to the bathroom, and it was already light out because our plan was to get to the beach, Rainbow Haven Beach, and see the sun come up. And that didn't. It was the sun was up when we at 5:30 in the morning. I guess when there's no mountains or hills or anything to be in your way, you were effectively on the coastline. Comes up a little sooner, little sooner. But it was. I mean, we got dressed quick, super easy. Yeah. And then I took the wrong. Well, we went through Tim Hortons, right? Canadian tradition. You can't just get up and start your day. You need a coffee. We got our morning coffees. Drove to what was it? The bridge. Okay, this was so cool, guys, because where we came in, we didn't get to see the harbor right away. For the first time on our way over to the bridge to Dartmouth to get to Rainbow Haven Beach, we saw the shipping yards, or at least some of the shipping yards. Holy shit, was it ever cool. Like those big shipping containers all stacked along each other, and then you could see these giant cranes that basically lift these things off of the boats and put them down on the dock, or the shipyards, whatever the fuck it's called. And then those big yellow things, they look like these weird things from Tron, those big square things from Tron that basically
drive it around.
Yeah, that'll grab the shipping container and drive it around to organize it on the actual dock.
And how did you know about how all these things work again? How was that?
I was going to say it. I played Grand Theft Auto 5, man. And there's a mission or whatever where you're on the docks and you drive these yellow things. I'm like, what the fuck? And then you move shipping container things around. So when I saw them, I was like, I know what those are. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had a fucking clue.
It was too funny, though. You're like describing, look, this does this does this. And I'm like, how do you know? You've never been here. And then you told me why. Auto. Yeah.
See, guys, video games are educational. But
it works.
Yeah, it was cool. So then we went to drive over the bridge, and of course, I was still using Apple Maps. So I took the wrong exit, and instead of going over the bridge to Dartmouth, we just did a big turn around, came back. Oh, but we realized we needed gas.
Yeah, so it worked out, actually.
Yeah, so we got the gas that we needed. And then take 2. Us going to the beach, take 2.
Yep.
Cross the bridge to Dartmouth. We do have a time lapse of that.
Yeah.
So that was good. Excuse me for the yawn. We got we're recording this Tuesday night, of course. Are we going to make it without falling asleep? Yeah, we will.
As long as others don't fall asleep, I think we're good.
Yeah, guys, don't fall asleep. Why you got to be like that, right? It's like the road trip. The passengers can't fall asleep. It fucks up the driver.
Is that the rule? I failed.
No, well, yeah, I think different circumstances, but effectively on road trips, it helps to keep people awake. But yeah, so we went over to the Rainbow Haven Beach, and it was pretty cool, guys, because I think we got there before they even opened up the main driveway. We parked at a place and had to go for a walk to the beach. And where we were headed, we weren't exactly sure because our mapping that we had created for ourselves was based on driving down this big driveway to the front. So what we did was we just followed this path and hope it led us to this beach. We found this beautiful wooden boardwalk.
Yeah.
And I hope to do it justice describing it, but as we're walking across, like I guess the boardwalk might even be wrong. It's just like a wooden sort of bridge path thing. And as
with just grass on each side of that bridge, grass,
and very tall grass. So we were hearing this like, and at first I thought it would, that was terrible.
That wasn't better.
That wasn't better, no. But it was basically like just it sounded like the wind blowing in the grass. And so I was like, okay, I wonder if this is the right way to the beach. Like the vantage how this bridge and grass was raising up like a hill. It could have been like we could have breasted this hill and it was like a giant field in front of us, and we kept walking and going. But as we were walking up the bridge thing, that swishing sound very quickly became distinct. I'm like, that's not the wind in the grass, that's waves.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got to the top of this pathway, there was the ocean in front of us. It was so cool because we just sort of came over the horizon. I felt like if we had walked along a lot of sand first and it was in the distance, we could see it coming for a while, it would have been less, majestic or a surprise. So the fact that this whole trip was based on the bucket list item, Hun, of you seeing, both of us seeing the ocean. I think that happened in a very cool way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we had the whole section that we were in, that whole section of the beach to ourselves. At some point, we'll post pictures. Probably sometime this week before the story gets so old nobody gives a shit. So again, guys, One Man Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll post the stuff there if you want to have a peek at some of the stuff. But it was great. We stood in the water. The water was fucking freezing.
So cold it hurt.
Yeah, like I tried to endure it a little bit, and then as soon as I got out of it and the blood went back into my fucking veins, it hurt. It was very painful.
Yeah.
It was also very early morning. I think at this point it was like 7:30 in the morning. But it was cold. We got some great shots. So there's pictures, like we tried to take selfie stick. We had the selfie stick going. You had your camera.
Yeah.
So we've got some great shots of it, but I think in our faces, even though we're trying to take pictures of us standing in the water and stuff, like you can see it in your face that you're in pain.
I know. I know.
What was that like though? This is your bucket list thing. I want to give you a couple minutes. Like how was that experience for you, seeing the ocean?
I guess I didn't know what to expect, right? Didn't expect it was going to be so cold. So originally my idea was to like swim in the ocean. That wasn't wasn't happening. But just the view was so beautiful. So as much as like it wasn't exactly what I anticipated, it was still the presentation where it was like we could hear it but not see it yet.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And then just to be a part of it, to take pictures around it, that was really nice. I took some rocks.
I was going to say, just steal rocks.
Like a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, there's pictures of her with a big smile on her face running across the beach with her arms cradling a bunch of ocean rocks.
In my jacket.
Yeah. And then there's a picture of me standing at a dock with a big smile on my face. That's me smiling and laughing at her stealing all the rocks.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And the rocks there's rocks all over the beach, and they're smooth because they've been kicked around the ocean and eroded and stuff like that.
And all kinds of different colors. Like, just so beautiful. Can you just imagine like different areas they came from? And yeah.
Every rock
cool.
tells a story.
Yeah, now I've got like a rock in each room, so I can always remember us going to the ocean.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So that was our experience in the ocean. We took some pictures and stuff. We'll post that stuff later on. We went back to the car, went home, took a nap.
That was so nice. Honestly, best nap I've had in a long time.
Yeah, it was great. And it wasn't only like an hour, if that.
But we slept right by the open window with our faces like facing the window.
Yeah, it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
There was no headboard to the bed we were laying on. So basically our pillows and everything were right in line with the windowsill.
Yeah.
So really, like we were laying on our sides or something, like you open your eyes and you're staring out at the Halifax Harbor, the bridge, the sun. The place that we were staying at was up on hill. And again, I just want to thank Harrison and his family for being so. I mean, that was an outstanding part of the trip, was just how beautiful our rest space was. And we wish we had an opportunity to spend more time there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that nap was great. I can't remember the last time that we were able to have a nap together. So that was pretty cool. Then we left the fun part 2 of our East Coast journey was, hey, let's have some seafood in the seafood town, the right at the East Coast. Okay, Josh, you don't like seafood. Have you ever had it fresh? Yes, I have now had seafood, not every kind, of course, but I've had seafood fresh caught market fucking price.
Yeah.
We went to the Waterfront Warehouse. They were great. Huge place. We sat on the patio outside right at the Halifax Harbor. It was gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful.
It was absolutely beautiful. The staff there was outstanding. I might be wrong. I'm going to take a stab at it, but I believe our server's name was Natasha or something close to it. Maybe Natasha, Natalie. Just
I don't remember.
Waterfront said they were going to check out the episode, so I just want to let them know what a wonderful job. If you have any employees that are like that or that were working on, what the fuck was it, Friday? Been last Friday.
Oh God, what days were we there?
It
Yeah,
doesn't-
Friday.
Again, I the amount of time and effort it would take for one of them to listen to it and then give a fuck who served us. But I got a chance to see Matt Jalbert, a regular podcast listener, good friend of mine who had suggested the Waterfront Warehouse where he works. He's one of the chefs there. Matt came and sat down with us, said hello. His shift was going to start, so didn't get to stay and chat with us for long, but it was great getting a chance to see Matt again. And of course, always appreciate you listening to the podcast, buddy. Thank you so much. We had coconut shrimp. I realized after seeing coconut shrimp on a menu for several times that all that means is shrimp that has been breaded with coconut.
That was so funny. You're like, oh,
It tastes like
it's
coconut.
Yeah, coconut
I
shrimp.
go, is that why it's fucking... God, I feel stupid a lot. I thought it was like, there's like tiger shrimp or something.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
I get it. There is tiger shrimp.
Yeah.
And
See-
it's not breaded tiger around it.
Yeah. So that's, fuck it. Yeah, I thought, I'm like coconut shrimp. Maybe it's like the shrimp that's got like for fuck's sakes, it's just shredded coconut on it, breaded.
Yeah.
But there was like a super nice mango sauce and a super nice raspberry sauce that they had that we could dip it in. So coconut shrimp was great.
Yep.
Reasonably priced. Oh, hey guys, here's the magic of podcasting. We've got Cooper who's deciding to go ape shit on his little toy. So it's okay. I'm just going to sit here. Lady's going to see if she can stifle the squeaking. He's really getting it going there too. It doesn't matter what I do every week. I can put things on airplane mode or what, and there will still be something. Do you get it, hon?
Yeah, I got his collar off too.
Oh, his collar was on too? That's funny. Well, that's funny. Now she's moving the box of toys so he can't get it. I was actually thinking of that earlier. The dog might start barking because that's what he does. He'll find a toy that he wants us to throw and he'll start barking at it. And I'm like, no, he'll be good. Last time we did this, he was good. He didn't come at us. You got it flipped backwards, love.
I know.
What's going on? Sorry. It's flipped. See, it's flipped outwards on you? That's why. That's the things. Yeah, you're doing fine.
Yeah,
You got these pain in the ass headphones. They work decently, but they're a bitch to get on and off. And of course, at a moment's notice, because the dog's squeaking a toy. I'm not editing any of this out. You guys can listen to it and be like, what is the... Yeah, you want to run a podcast? I'm going to get to that a little later on. There's a question coming up that has something to do with that, so I'll address that. Anyways, back to the story. We had coconut shrimp, right? How was that, Angel?
It was delicious.
Yeah. We had, what else do we have? We had, the best part of the meal, the crab cake fritters or crab fritters. Mm-hmm. Those were delicious.
So good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, they were so good.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. There was, I'm trying to remember what they had in that because I want to try the crab cakes because crab cakes are a thing you see on a lot of different menus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it's the server suggested the crab fritters. We tried those. And then of course we said, she had suggested the lobster. Lobster's super popular, blah, blah, blah. And we said, okay, I think it was actually, thank God for you. Cause I think you were the one who's like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just try the lobster.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, fuck it. So we decided to share one. Thank Christ.
Oh, if we got one each?
Yeah,
Oh,
if we got one each, I'm pretty sure there would have been a lot of other memories we wouldn't have been able to make. So here's the thing. Yeah, we started with the claws. The server was great. She explained to us because I said, like, look, I don't know how to do this. So, okay. And here's Cooper on the podcast feature. We actually have 3 people featured. Still 1 man, 1 woman, 1 dog. I'm sorry for the little breaks, guys.
Cooper.
So
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. Coop. Oh, Jesus. Ugh. It's always like right between my legs behind the chair where it's difficult to get at. So, all right. Sorry, guys. Thanks for bearing with us. What were we talking about? Lobster.
Yeah, lobster.
My brain is fried. This is me on a daily basis. One little thing happens. I make it sound like I can
Squirrel.
stay focused. Yeah,
Squirrel.
exactly. So yeah, we got the lobster. The server was great, told us how to get the meat out of the side. She's like, there's this black sack and it's behind its head. That's its stomach. You can eat it, but it tastes gross. I'm like, all right, then I'm not going to eat that.
Yeah.
And we start with the claws, and the claws were outstanding.
Yep.
I thought the claws were delicious. And then I started to eat the meat out of the legs, which you sort of have to like chew out or like roll out or squeeze out.
Yeah.
That was decent. A lot of work for very little payoff.
Yeah.
But we did it. And then what? The tail.
The tail. It wasn't horrible.
I didn't like it.
But yeah, which is good because I got to eat yours.
Did you eat mine?
I did eat yours.
Oh, good. Okay.
I didn't want to waste it. Jeez, it was expensive.
Yeah, we didn't even know. I thought I'm gonna tell you guys the truth. I've seen lobster fest signs and restaurants and stuff where it's like $27.99 or whatever, things like that, and I'm like, okay, that seems reasonable. We paid $50 for this thing, and it's not like we budgeted for an expensive meal, but for like the amount that I ate, a couple little, like if you took an entire lead pencil and cut it up, that's how much meat I got out of the legs.
Yeah.
And then the claws are not a significant amount. Anyways, I'm not bitching about it too much. It was great. I got to try lobster fresh.
It was experience right there on the harbor, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You pay for the experience.
Yeah, when you cracked open the fucking lobster, there was all this green shit along the sides, and I'm like, these things are bottom feeders, and apparently you're supposed to, like, when you catch them, you're supposed to leave them in a tank for a little bit to like get all the garbage out of them, to like purify them or something. I don't know how accurate that is. Please feel free to write in and correct me on it. But I just looked at this stuff and I'm like, I don't know what this is. And she didn't say anything about there being green. One of the chefs inside, when I was asking him, he goes, oh, the guac. That's what he called it. The guac. That's what it looked like, to be honest with you. He goes, oh, the guac. He goes, yeah, you can eat that. And I go, what is it? And he goes, well, it's kind of like their intestines and the stuff in their stomach, like that they're processing all the stuff that they eat up. And I go, so it's the fucking shit.
Yeah.
It's the gross fucking gunk from the ocean that you don't want to eat.
I rubbed it off.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. I fucking poured my water over it to try to rinse it. And it didn't just rinse off. So I was like rubbing it with my napkin, trying to get all the shit off. And then I had a couple bites and it was so chewy.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Yeah. So but I've done it now. I've eaten lobster fresh and I still don't like it. So
there you go.
Yeah. And everywhere we went, this was a kind of a cool thing, was like when you're in Montreal, everywhere you go, you see the smoked meat is on the menu. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everywhere you go, smoked meat is a thing. Well, we were in Halifax, lobster rolls were on the menu everywhere. Everywhere you went, you can get a lobster roll. And I almost wish we had tried that, to be honest with you. A, because it's cheaper. Yeah. And B, because it's probably all of the good part of the lobster already chopped up and processed.
But
for
maybe
you with
not.
mayonnaise.
You know how they make chicken salad?
Right.
Could be that scenario.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know. Still would have been worth a try.
Yeah, well, I think the good news is, like you said, we've had the experience. We have tried fresh cut lobster, blah, blah, blah.
We put our plastic bibs on.
Yeah.
We dug in, like we full out. We embraced the whole...
Absolutely.
The whole thing. So, yeah, I have no regrets.
No, and me neither. It was interesting experience. Some experiences are going to be good. Some experiences are going to be bad. And we got to do it. Now I know going forward, someone asks me, I'll be, yes, I've tried it. Not for me. Yeah. But I definitely recommend, I mean, like I said, everybody there seemed to be having a very, very good time. Everything else that we tried on the menu was spectacular. Yeah. Definitely 5 stars recommend the Waterfront Warehouse. If anyone's in Halifax, please check it out. Like I said, my good friend Matt works there. And the service was great. Everybody was fantastic. Yeah. Even the Waterfront Warehouse has messaged us since and said, great, can't wait to listen to the podcast. So thank you very much for that experience, guys. We then left to go to the Cabot Trail. Yep. The big part of the trip, that one that I was sort of giving my friend Mika shit for suggesting. We drove there, guys. The drive out was kind of more of the same of being on the road, right? Just highways. It was about 3.5 hours to get there. Once we got to Cape Breton, we could see the hills starting to come up. We saw water in some areas and we're kind of like, oh, is that the ocean? Are we back to, the tip of the land? Because we traveled inland for most of it. And then we know that once we start to get to Cape Breton, we will be getting close to the coastline again, the Cabot Trail. Yeah. But what was kind of funny was that I told you guys that speaking to the RCMP people when I did that show, they were saying that it takes about 3 hours to go around the whole Cabot Trail. And at this point, you and I were thinking that it's just a road along the coastline. Like if you Google the Cabot Trail and you look at pictures, guys, you see a lot of pictures of just what look like roads along the ocean.
Yeah.
So
we thought it was.
Yeah. And I thought we looked up maybe somewhere to eat or whatever. And it showed like this one spot as I was following it on Google Maps, real close looking around. It showed like this one section where there was a few restaurants beside each other. So I thought that was like the one spot where you stop and you can get some food or some shit along the Cabot Trail.
Yeah.
And that didn't end up being the case at all. This was like, there was towns along it, people's houses. Like this was like traveling, you know, there was more places to stop than some of the highways between Ottawa and Toronto.
Yeah. There was camping. There was Airbnbs all throughout. Not Airbnbs, sorry.
Right.
Like
the old school
B&Bs.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Gas stations, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gas stations at the beginning, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But when we started the Cabot Trail, we went to Bedeck, which was recommended to us, and that was beautiful. Yeah. That's the one spot out of this entire trip where I just really want to find myself again someday. I don't mean find myself in like a spiritual journey, but I would just love to spend a couple days in that beautiful little town. Someone had recommended when we looked at Bedeck itself, we found an image of a lighthouse on an island, and we were like, okay, we want to find that. So when we got off the Cabot Trail itself to go into Bedeck, I was on this like this main street. There's streets all over the place, but I was on this sort of one main street, and I just said to myself, I want to stay on this street and see if I can find this lighthouse. I don't want to start going off too many different side streets and getting lost in this town because, there's me going in my head again. Just to take a step back for a second here. We were saying we thought that it would take 3 hours to circumnavigate the Cabot Trail. When I stopped for gas in Cape Breton the last time before we got there, I asked someone how long it takes to go around it. And the woman there said she goes, well, it really depends. It could take 5 hours or it could take 3 days.
Yeah.
And when I found out 5 hours, I was like, well, it's 5
o'clock
now.
at that point.
Yeah. I'm like, we don't have 5. We're not even there yet. And we don't have 5 hours to go around. And that's if you just drive around it, you stop for nothing.
Yeah.
So we were like, shit, that's not the number that we got from anybody. Mm-hmm. So we were boogieing, but we stopped in Bedeck because we wanted to see that lighthouse. So I stayed on that main street in Bedeck and just said, I'm not going to spend a ton of time getting lost because we want to see this Cabot Trail before we lose the light. That was what the thought in my head. And it was beautiful driving down the street. It was like restaurants, all these patios, people were all over the place. There was boats all out in the water. People, you know, like I don't know how it's like a small town that was so alive. You know, there was people that were walking across the street. I mean, it's hard to describe, guys. All I can say is that it seemed like the kind of place you wanted to be walking around and part of the community. Go have a meal, have some drinks, stare out at the water, you know, hop on a boat and go for a little tour around the, the water and the ocean and the island. It was gorgeous. But I kept driving, and maybe 3 or 4 minutes down this road, we found the exact lighthouse that we're looking for right on this road. So we snapped some pictures of that. I've got a 3D shot on my Facebook of this road, and of course Crystal had her camera out and she was taking shots, so once we get a chance to actually go through those, we'll have some of those up too. But Bedeck, Baddeck, I believe, beautiful place. Back to the Cabot Trail itself. Yeah. I mean, sorry guys that it's very wordy. I mean, it felt like, part of what you're feeling right now is kind of what the trip was like. It was beautiful. There was tons of experiences. We got back on the Cabot Trail and drove. And after a while, like I said, we started to notice how many houses there were, how many, little bed and breakfasts, how many, and then the coast was beside us for a big portion of the time. And it was just beautiful. And then, of course, at one point, we just started going up.
Yeah.
We could see the mountains and stuff all, to our left inside the land. But we were kind of like, well, at what point are we going to go up? We drove, saw the ocean. The land started to get up. We took some pictures. Yeah. Again, we'll share those, but I don't really know how to describe it. It was beautiful. You're driving along the ocean. We started to get real high up, and we're just staring. We got it a few times to take pictures, but you're standing there and it doesn't matter how far left you look, how far right you look. You just have this beautiful, crisp blue line on the horizon, which is the ocean, just going off into the distance. Like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Next to you, sweetheart.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. Again, we'll post some more pictures and videos. Like, that's really, words don't do justice. I mean, for 2-3 weeks before our trip, people were trying to describe this and tell us what we were going to see and how beautiful it was. And
you
still
don't know until you see it, really.
Yeah. But don't, if you hear this, don't live and die without seeing this. You know, it was beautiful. You're driving inside the land too, and there's all these little like ponds and lakes, and there's mountains all around you that feel like they're surrounding you, and you're driving through them. The next thing you know, you're driving right up to the top of them in seconds. It feels like it's so brief, and you're just up at the top of these mountains. You're looking out at the ocean. The problem is that we got to a point on this where we lost the light.
Yeah.
It got dark, and we started to notice that we were running out of gas. Not empty tank. We had about a third of a tank, but we were running out of gas, and it was about 9:30 at night. So,
and we were like halfway through it.
Yeah.
At that point.
And we started losing signal. So our mapping equipment, you know, to tell us how much longer we were or what point we were at in this thing was now cutting out. So we didn't know how far along we were. We didn't know where the next stop was, where we could get gas. So I think at one point, once the sun had gone down, and we started hearing sounds coming from the engine, this weird tapping sound coming from the wheels.
It sounded like the wheels, and it was like,
yeah, whoop, 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 whoop,
and oh jeez,
like it was,
I think I'm done. That's it. I'm dying here.
You got freaked out. That's for sure.
For sure.
But of course, it's your car, so it's hard to fault you for it.
Yes, part of it, but also, I mean, I don't know. We were out of gas. There's no one around. No signal. The vehicle's crashing. What do we do? What animals are out here? What's going to happen? Like, the car was minute in that sense. It was like, what's going to happen to us?
Right. It did die down. The traffic died down quick. So we had no, there was not a lot of other cars. There was construction areas too. Yeah. So we stopped in this one little restaurant at like 9:30 that was still open, and we said to them like, hey, are you still open? Can we eat? We said, yeah, no problem. And then we said, hey, there's probably a lot of places we can get gas. And they were like, well, not really. Everything's closing at 10 o'clock. The next one's like 50 kilometers away. And it was like 20 to 10.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, they close at 10. So you may or may not make it there. So we were like, okay, well, we're going to skip eating because we hadn't eaten for a while. We ate at lunchtime. It's now like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And we haven't eaten.
We had little snacks, but it's still not the same.
Yeah, it's not a meal. There's only so many times you can eat Rice Krispie Squares and cashy quinoa
bars.
Oatmeal replacement bars. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we got back on the road and we started to drive. And all we had was the fact that we were on this Cabot Trail. So we're just like, stick to the Cabot Trail. There was off-shooting streets and things like that. I should say like paths. They weren't streets. They were more like little gravel roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we stayed on it. The construction got really bad. Now we're driving across all this construction in the dark, in the middle of the woods.
With all these signs saying, watch out for moose about to plow you and deer and whatever. Like it was just too much.
It was creepy. It went from being the most beautiful thing in the world for a couple hours, one of the most beautiful things we've ever seen, to one of the most frightening experiences.
Yeah. I think on top of it too, I stopped looking out the window because to my right, all I could see is ocean.
Yeah.
And trees and ocean, but barely because it was so dark. And I'm like, we're missing all of that.
Yeah.
So I would just,
yeah, and then the car started tick, 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 and then and we saw like it was so fucking creepy too because we were taking turns driving, and at one point we like see these weird sticks hanging out of the trees. At least I saw them.
Yeah.
And it started to get real foggy because it was going to rain later on. So to get real foggy, so there was this crazy like white mist coming out of the trees and on the road,
but in blotches.
Yeah.
So it almost looked like there was like ghosts coming at you.
Yeah, like I was just like, it's like one of those scenes from the movies where someone's driving down a road and it's the fog, and all of a sudden the ghost figure says, and you're like, honey, stop! I don't need any of that shit right now.
And then you're like, look, there's sticks like the Blair Witch. I'm like, shut it.
And And it's so funny, like 15 minutes later, we started driving and we were seeing some of the same like establishment signs that we had seen earlier, which if you know, we're going in a giant circle around the island. So these signs that we saw are like, what, 100 kilometers away from where we should be at the exact moment. Like,
Yeah.
so the same type of business. And we're not talking like McDonald's. Oh my God, another McDonald's. What's the odds? We're talking like businesses that you've never heard of. You know, Sam's restaurant. You're like, how the fuck is there another Sam's restaurant on the other side? And then another business that we'd already seen. I'm like, holy fuck, are we stuck in that Blair Witch time loop where every day is the same and you can never escape? No signal, no human, no like no other cars passing us or anything at that point.
Yeah.
And then at one point we started to get the signal back. We were able to see where the fuck we were, and we were in fact on the other side of the island where we were supposed to be.
Yep.
You know, we I think as we were driving up in the dark too, the gas tank was giving us sort of a false idea of how much gas we had. So we were actually running. We had more gas in the tank than we had thought. We were just at a, you know, a good 40-degree angle for so long that the tank thought we had less in it than we did. So you know, hey, we had a good trip. We saw 50% of the cabin. And that's what the guy said too. When we asked him about the gas and how far away, he goes, oh, well, it's dark now. And he said, which direction? He goes, well, we're going that way. He goes, oh, you're going to see the best part. You're going to miss the best part because it's in the dark. And we was like, great. That sucks.
Yeah.
But we saw tons of it. It was beautiful. I will go back again. What about you?
Yeah.
hon?
Yeah. I'd like to go back.
Well, I don't know. I remember that you were saying at the time, and it could have been just because of the stress of everything, but you were saying for like the amount of time it took and everything that you kind of regret going.
It was the way we planned it. And
Right.
I recall just being a little disappointed by the way we planned it out. But it's not our fault. We didn't really know. Our expectation of it was different than what it turned out to be. So because we were only there for like a day and a half. So most of our time was driving and then stuck in the dark driving and all this beautiful scenery there, but we can't see and do anything with it. So it was just a little disappointing. But lesson learned. Now we know. And we can recommend, I would say, give yourself at least a day for that place, if not more. Like plan your trip around, you know, the Cabot Trail.
Yeah. I just wished all those people that had told us it's 3 hours, it's 5 hours, it's 4 hours. I wish they'd said, but you know, it's not just a road. There's branch offs. There's places to stop and view things. Like there's bed and breakfast, there's restaurants, there's lots and lots, there's towns. Like I wish that someone had, that one woman who recommended Bedeck, thank God, but she didn't say like, hey, you're going to want to stay there. It's a town. Yeah. You know? People make it sound like it's a church, it's a general store, you know, 1 or 2 houses and then you're gone. This was a town right off the Cabot Trail. Beautiful. Yeah. So anyways, moving forward with that, guys, we got back. It rained in the middle of the night. We got back at like 3:00 in the morning. And as I mentioned, our host Harrison had offered to leave the door open for us because we didn't even get signal to call him and tell him we were going to be real far behind. Yeah. Like it was 4 hours from the Cabot Trail to Halifax. Yeah. So we were exiting the Cabot Trail at like 11:30.
Yeah, I think we ended up showing up at 2:30.
We got back at 2:30.
I believe 2:30 or 3, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Okay. Three makes more sense to me. I think that's close, just because it was 3.5 hours. So yeah, and we were at 11:30, so that would make sense. Yeah. But either way, I mean, not super important. The idea is it's the middle of the night. We are staying with a host who lives there. It's not like, you know, so he left the door open for us. And it was funny because we got in the ocean that morning. I was wearing sandals the whole trip. So my sandals were soaked all day. And then when we got home, and then we got home at 3:00 in the morning, we got home in the rain. It rained like a motherfucker driving back from the Cabot Trail. So my my sandals were soaking wet. I took them off outside and left them outside to get rained on and get all the sand out of them and everything like that. That's what the purpose of. When we woke up the next day, the day I took the pictures of you in the window and all that, come downstairs, my sandals have been brought into the house and stuffed with towels. Yeah. To like dry them off and everything. Like I thought that was incredibly courteous and kind.
Above and beyond. Like
above and beyond B&B.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, thank you so much to our host, Harrison, who took great care of us. If we go back to Halifax, definitely would love to stay with you again. Thank you so much for the kindness. In terms of the trip back, it was pretty uneventful. I mean, I had a great time with you. We chatted, shot the shit, but it was very sad leaving and coming back. It's a long trip home after everything that we'd seen. Like I keep telling people, like, I think I left a piece of myself in the East Coast. It was so beautiful and so different.
It was.
You know, and for the sake of a 13-hour drive, guys, if you haven't been, see your country. It's gorgeous out there, and it was so fucking easy.
Yeah, it really was.
You know, it cost us way less than we thought it was going to.
Yeah.
So, and that was with us getting a lavish Airbnb. We were looking, it certainly wasn't in the price range that we started initially, but we saw the pictures and fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And just decided, fuck it, it's our vacation, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, fucking avoid the lobster, guys. It's a cost. It's a cost you can take back. I'm just teasing. But yeah, so it was a great time. The trip home was great. You know, the closer we got, I'm gonna just say this. I'm a bit of a dick, but I loved seeing the scenery of, you know, Eastern Quebec, Newfoundland, and then of course, you know, Nova Scotia when we got there. I just remember like being like, once we got into Newfoundland, or Jesus, not Newfoundland, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Once we got to New Brunswick, it was like, yay!
I know.
Now we're part of, now we're in one of those provinces that wants to be part of Canada. You know, so I felt like I was loving Quebec, like Eastern Quebec, when it's getting more, you know, hills and big trees and giant lakes and stuff. I was like, it was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, yeah, but they don't want to be a part. I'm like, look at this country. Look at our country. I'm like, well, for now, maybe they'll get mad again and want to leave. Yeah, but as soon as I got into New Brunswick, I was like, all right, well, we're in a province that wants to be part of Canada. Yay. Like, no doubt. But yeah, that was great. And the same thing on our way back too. It was just like, it was beautiful seeing it. Yeah. You know, and then of course it's, you know, late at night in Montreal. It's lunatics.
Yeah, you felt the difference when you were getting closer and closer to home.
Oh yeah, just more traffic, more things. The land starts to get flatter. Yeah. And boring.
My allergies, I started getting sniffly about 3 hours before we hit home.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm like, ugh, we're getting back home.
You slept for a bit too, which is nice.
Yeah, a little bit.
But we got home.
You too.
Yeah, I slept like the last 30 minutes or something like that. I didn't get any during the day. Tried. It wasn't for lack of trying.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I said, yeah, I tried to too, but you kept rubbing my leg.
Yeah, I know.
And it kept waking me up.
Too much. Yeah, I was disappointed. We don't get to spend a ton of time together day after day. So I'll be honest, I was definitely just feeling wistful in the sense that I'm like, oh, it sucks that, you know, this is coming to an end. So I couldn't help myself. I just, you know, have that thought. I reach over, give you a rub, and of course that would wake you up. So it's not exactly the loving sentiment that I meant to do. Oh, he's sleeping comfortably, wake up. Yeah. But I was just, you know, it was one of those, you know, hey, we had such a fun trip. It's a shame it's over. It quickly as it started, it seemed bad. But yeah, I mean, it was a great trip, guys. Like I said, I recommend it. Thank you for listening. We're at 52 minutes right now, and I know we've really talked about this. I hope it's been interesting. Mm-hmm. You know, we've got questions and things like that coming up. So I'm going to jump past a lot of the stuff here, guys, and maybe we'll just get right to the sponsors at this point. Thank you for listening. If you're still with us, thank you for listening. Wonderful trip. So yeah, let's get right to the fucking partners here. We have got, as usual, my partners from portablepress.com, the Uncle John's Bathroom Readers. And this week's article comes from Uncle John's Bathroom Reader called Nature Calls. And the article is called Hodgepodge. So because of our trip going out east with the nature and everything like that, I thought that'd be a fun, edition to read from. And as always, I read a bunch of different things and can't pick which one. There was a really fun one about nature documentaries, but it was 4 pages long. And I figured with how long the story for Halifax was going to be, that it might not be the best one to read. Just make you guys listen to the long version. So I got one called Hodgepodge. It just seemed to be a mix of some animal stuff. And as usual, I picked it out today before the podcast. So I didn't have time to read the whole damn book. But this one just says, hey, quick, some animal facts. Snails have thousands of teeth, but they're unlike any you've seen before. Nearly all snails have what are called radulas, which are hard ribbon-like. God damn it, I suck at reading out loud. Nearly all snails have what are called radulas, which are hard ribbon-like organs that look like tongues and contain rows of tiny teeth. Some snails have thousands of these tiny teeth because they're replaced by new ones as they wear away. So there's some snail shit. The chameleon and American woodcock each have 360-degree field of vision, allowing them to see what's in front of them and behind them and even over their heads.
Really?
So yeah, it's like fucking virtual reality for what? American woodcocks and chameleons. Goats can also see almost everything around them without ever moving their heads. How about that? Bats can hear at 120,000 hertz, the highest frequency of all animals. Large land mammals such as giraffes, elephants, and cows sleep less than 4 hours a day. Giraffes can actually go without sleep for weeks at a time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wish I could.
Would you want to?
I mean, I like sleep, but I get so much done, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Weeks. We could have seen more in Halifax.
Oh,
We'd have drove through the night.
We didn't have to sleep. Not that we slept much, but yeah.
Elephants can smell water from up to 3 miles away.
Wow.
Which is like, what, 7 or 5 kilometers?
Good math there. I don't know.
Fuck, I don't know. I think it's like slightly more of a mile than a kilometer.
I don't know.
You guys fucking figured out yourselves if you want to know if I'm right or wrong. I'm wrong about most things. A cricket's ears are not connected to its head. Its ears are located on its front legs beneath its knees.
I feel like I've heard that before.
I just knew that they rub their legs together and that's the sound. That's when I knew of crickets. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they help puppets come to life.
Of course.
Crested auklets and whiskered auklets, types of seabirds that roam from the North Pacific, seem to be the most fragrant creatures around. Emitting a pleasant citrus scent, they're known as tangerine-scented birds.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. I'd like to smell it.
Come here, bird. Catch it.
It does. It does.
It's like the fucking freshest skunk squirt in the world.
Oh. I don't know.
Snails breathe through their feet. How about
Cool.
that? Yeah, there's a fact for you.
They have feet?
Yeah. Well, according to this.
Okay.
They do say that 99% of their facts are correct, but they do have a mild amount of percentage for room for error.
I protest that one.
That's the one we're going to call.
Yep.
Cheat. An ostrich's eye is larger than its brain.
Yeah, they're kind of...
Seems like a dumb fucking bird. It's got a small head,
right?
too. It's got a stupid small head and a long neck. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. There are white horses, but no albinos. A true albino horse would have pink skin and red eyes.
Wow.
It would look like a bubblegum unicorn with no horn.
Yeah.
Contented elephants purr.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I know the pigs at the farm kind of purr.
Do they?
When you rub their bellies a certain way. I'm so sorry.
You go up and rub the pig bellies? Are they just laying on their side?
You give them a little rub and they flip on their side and you rub their bellies.
Oh, like Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Or when he's in shit. He just, oh, look at me, I'm cute.
Well, they're in shit too.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, nice.
Clever.
Okay, go ahead.
And the last one, newborn bats are a quarter of their mom's weight. That's like a human mother giving birth to a first grader.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then, of course, the little fact at the bottom, which I am going to totally fucking butcher because they're giving me like the Latin name for it. The Euhirudinae, the true leeches, have suckers at both ends of their bodies.
Wow. So they can like suck it twice?
Yeah. It's like a double BJ if you get one on your penis. You ever see Stand By Me? The kid had a leech on his dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he passed out.
Yeah.
Like he had that good of an orgasm.
Thank God that leech didn't do it, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So that was Hodgepodge, guys, from my partners at Uncle John's Bathroom Reader, the Bathroom Reader Institute. Check out portablepress.com if you'd like to see all the different editions that they have. They've got stuff about everything, fun stuff. I even bought a new one tonight when I was out, so I'll be reading from that in the not too distant future. And now your questions. No, not your questions. I got other fucking sponsors. What the hell's wrong with me? Summersby, guys. I want to go to bed. Our sponsor, guys, Summersby, fantastic sponsor. This evening we have been drinking White Summer. What is that? That's Kronenberg Blanc. Kronenberg 1664 Blanc, which is a wheat beer with a little bit of a citrus taste to it, mixed with Summersby, half and half. Bada boom. What do you think of it, Angel?
It's great. It's really sweet, but not too much like beer.
Yeah, it's not quite beer. It's not quite cider. It's got a nice sweetness to it.
Yeah.
Dig it, man.
Going down nice.
We've been trying it recently. Yeah. What else did I have for them? I'm definitely suggest the mixer packs as always, guys. If you like drinking Summersby, and I'm starting to see that a lot of you do, check out the mixer pack. It comes with apple cider, the Summersby, which is their flagship flavor. They've got the elderflower lime, which was their last year launch. They've got our personal favorite, which is the blackberry Summersby. And of course the pear Summersby. So it's a great little thing to get. You get 2 of each. So if you want to sit down and try some Summersby with a special somebody, just grab one of those mixer packs and check them out. And what I wanted to say too, that I'm loving that you guys are referencing my Summersby slurping. You guys are sending me Facebook messages, pictures of you guys trying it, buying it, enjoying it. Would definitely love for you guys to tag, take the picture and tweet it or put it on Instagram, tag me in it. I would love to retweet it or share it or anything like that. Just helps the sponsor know that their product is being enjoyed and loved and seen.
Yeah.
So I love that you guys are interested in it, and I really do love the product itself. So, it's not like there's someone who just tapped me on the shoulder, hey, can you advertise our stuff? We thoroughly do enjoy it ourselves.
Yeah. And
I'd love to share your picture. So of course, we're One Man Podcast on everything. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So, hey, if you see one, you want to send a picture, just throw it up on social media, tag us in it, and I'll retweet it, share it, like it, whatever it is. So thank you guys so much for tasting it and doing that. I appreciate it. And finally, my partners at Absolute Comedy. This month they have the Prove Your Comic competition doing. I'm going to play their ad now. Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America, with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much, much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America. Yeah, as I mentioned, the Prove Your Comic competition is happening at Absolute Comedy in Ottawa and Toronto this month. The Ottawa competition goes from Monday to Wednesday every week in July, Tuesday to Thursday every week in Toronto in July. So, I was the feature act last night. So another 9 hopefuls came in. I got a chance to joke while the judges tabulated their votes. Jason, who you've listened to me interview here, was in Saskatchewan. He's at a funeral. So we were there. So Jay was not there. And man, was there ever a ton of mistakes. There was a miscount in the voting. We announced incorrect winners. They forgot to do the draw with the comedians after the show. So we still gave everyone advice, and it wasn't until there was 2 people left who were like, hey, what's the order for tomorrow? And everyone's like, what? We don't know. What? Oh shit, we forgot. I'm like, are you kidding me? So not that any of you guys need to know this, just basically ragging on the fact that we had no fucking idea what was going on. But I had a great time. I entertained the crowd. So that was fun. We had a great time last night. Looking forward to see who moves on there as we speak, performing right now. The Ottawa group. Yeah,
that's right there.
Yeah, so they're going to be doing their thing. Hopefully, they're having a great time and everyone's strutting their best stuff. As for you and I, my love, we are going to answer some questions. We got
questions.
We got emails this week. I got 4 of them.
Sweet.
So I'm going to start by saying, guys, if you want to send an email, contact@onemanpodcast.com. Don't care what it is. Don't care if it's a question, comment, concern, story, thing that you're working on, whatever it is, contact@onemanpodcast.com. The first one comes from Mika. And Mika says, the Cabot Trail. Was it worth it? Do you feel like you've grown a bit or experienced a bit more of what life has to offer? Hopefully you could look past the task and take it all in. Mm-hmm. So, Mika, yes, I enjoyed it. And yes, I would say it's worth it. Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen anything so fantastic. I only saw half of it.
Yeah.
We only saw half of it. In terms of, do I feel like I've grown a bit or experienced a bit of what life has to offer? Mm-hmm. Well, I already knew that there was an ocean and trees and stuff. I like the question. I get what you're saying. Like, I do feel better because I've got, an opportunity to travel. I needed an excuse to. Do you know what I mean? I needed a partner in crime. And of course, it was great that, you and I got a chance to go and see this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
The nights.
Sorry, was that a question to me?
Yeah, of course. The night's catching up with us. We're both through that Absolute Comedy promo. Thank God it's a recording. Gave us a chance both to breathe and look at each other. We're mouthing words at each other because if we talk, you'll hear us. The mics are connected to it, much like the dog and all the ding dongs that happen through the iPad. But yeah, I mean, we enjoyed it. Meeks, I definitely. I remember you messaged me. We're like, hey, well, you don't have to, and like I get it, and I appreciate the suggestion. It was definitely to me, the highlight of the trip was seeing the Cabot Trail.
It was great. We just didn't organize it well. I think, if anything, it was just our organization. It was a great suggestion. We just should have dedicated the trip to it almost. But we just didn't know. Like, nothing wrong.
Yeah, and every person, every Google search, everything I did, and everything that we looked at would not give us a clear answer on how long it takes.
Yeah.
So, like if we had known that it was going to take like to be able to enjoy it 9-10 hours to do it start to finish, we would have allotted for that.
But my bad too, because honestly, I wanted to see a sunset. So I'm like, let's do it. If it's going to take about 3 hours, let's shoot to be there 3 hours before sunset.
Yeah. 3
or 4 hours before sunset. That way we get a good, but because it took much longer, we cut it too short. So it is what it is, but now it just means, hey, we know what it's like. We got a taste of it.
Yeah.
Now we can do it again.
Yeah, it was a great little preview of what it is.
For sure. So great experience, and thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry we missed it. We got a call on Saturday on our way back from Jimmy, who has not written in a couple weeks, by the way, but I know is listening. A call from Jim, and then we see an Instagram post or Facebook post later that you and him were having a barbecue or something. So sorry we couldn't make it. We were driving back from the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I know you're listening. Thank you very much. A, for the question, B, for the suggestion, and C, for the invite to the barbecue that we unfortunately couldn't make. Trust me, we would much rather have been there than driving through the...
Yeah.
So thanks for running in. Vanessa, aka Red, writes in, "Hey buddy, first off, thank you so much for helping me get tickets to for my intern to go to your Canada Day show. She really enjoyed it and said you were hilarious, but was sad to not be able to say hi after. I explained you had to book it to Montreal. So to address that, I was actually one of the last people in the room. You're very welcome, of course, and please thank your friend for actually coming out to the show, and I'm glad she enjoyed it. But I'm not sure if she felt maybe intimidated to come say hi or anything, or maybe just didn't see me. But I was there to the very end. I actually ended up walking my mom and my brother and his wife and everybody out of the room, and it was just the servers left behind us. So I'm please tell her thank you and loved having her, and by all means to approach next time and say hi.
Yeah.
I'm glad she enjoyed. You also continue to write, I figure I'd give you a tip on audiobooks today. You can get them at the library. Yep, that archaic infrastructure. I was suggested to use audiobooks too while on mat leave, but was like $20 for an audiobook. I don't even pay that for real books. Not to mention you are poor as fuck when you were on mat leave. So yeah, library is the way to go. Libraries are actually pretty awesome. Ours even has a seed bank where you can borrow plant seeds. Here's an idea for a podcast topic: how you started your own podcast, tips and tricks for starting one, or maybe you don't want to give away your secret sauce. Hope your trip to the East Coast went well and that the Cabot Trail was everything it was hyped to be. As a matter of fact, I have used the library for audiobooks. I actually got a bunch of like Tony Robbins stuff at one point.
Yeah.
Which I put on my computer and ripped as audio files and then burned onto CDs. So I've got copies. I got some Deepak Chopra stuff and some other things. It was very brief. It was like one time I got a bunch of shit, ripped it, and then brought it back. So, I mean, I really should do that again. So definitely appreciate that suggestion, and it's one that I have used. I guess like the audiobooks and stuff that I want to listen to feel like more current. So I'm always worried that if I go to the library, I'm going to be reading like the 1956 edition of,
Yeah. No, you can get some pretty current stuff. Even Brody was getting some generally current Xbox games.
Oh, really?
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, that's pretty cool. I didn't know I can get that. I mean, Xbox One stuff?
No, Xbox 360. But this was also like maybe a year ago.
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So.
all right. But even still, that's cool that you can get video games at the library for free.
Yeah.
I like that. The seed bank thing is also interesting too, but what does that mean? Like you say borrow plant seeds, like what you plant a seed, grow it, and then you harvest, strip the seeds from what you've grown, and then return said seeds to the library.
That's a very cool idea, though.
It sounds interesting.
What it is.
Yeah, but so I would just say, how does that work? If you can follow that up, maybe next week or something, let me know how that works. Do they actually expect you to return seeds or go buy new ones or what? I mean, I think we figured it out, but
yeah, but I'd be curious to how it works. Yeah.
And in terms of like, idea for a podcast topic, how you started your own podcast, I read. I did what I do whenever I do a venture. I started Googling and I was reading articles and watching videos, and it got confusing. There seems to be no consistency, like anything else, right? It was like researching the Cabot Trail. Everyone's got an opinion on it, and nobody has a solid answer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if this episode has taught us anything, as usual, I have no idea. I put all these notes down in front of me, and I think that I've got a good structure on what I'm going to talk about, and I have no idea, how it's going to go. In fact, for example, too, like I can lose my train of thought. Spider-Man. I saw Spider-Man on Sunday. I even mentioned to you guys off the top of the show that I would talk about the new Spider-Man movie. I could have just finished the questions and completely forgot about that. Just looking at my notes now while I was talking, I see the Spider-Man thing. I will very briefly step into that. I saw the new Spider-Man movie. It's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A lot of fun. It's the first Spider-Man movie I've ever seen that really focuses on the fact that Spider-Man is a teenager. He's a very young guy. He's in high school, and he balances high school life with crime fighting. In all the movies, it's kind of like, yeah, he's in school. You see like a scene just reminds you, oh, he's in school. And then that's it. He doesn't really deal with school shit or anything like that afterwards. This one was like, this is a kid who's in high school, and he's also got these superpowers. And it was sort of a mix back and forth of both. No spoilers or anything like that. Really good movie. It features Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., some other characters, some other mentions from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very cool. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of the superhero movies. But again, Red, getting back to your question, I don't have an answer as to sort of what makes a good podcast. I still have no idea if this isn't even a good podcast. I enjoy doing it, and I love the fact that you guys are listening. I hope still at this point in the podcast. I'm losing the angel across the way.
I'm good. I'm
are
here.
you doing good?
It's past my bedtime. I'm doing good though.
You're
considering.
doing phenomenal.
Come
and
on.
I appreciate you being a part of it. We should have probably done this a couple days earlier, just because of all the stuff we were going to talk about. I just did my best to make notes. It was a lot to take in, guys. We were really like under the gun in terms of time, but but I wanted to have you on it just because I figured it was like something it was basically you and me for 3 days straight and no separation between us, which was great. It was so funny. I've got some tips. I got an email in a second I'm going to read. But yeah, I mean, Red, really, anybody can do a podcast. The idea is that it is what you're going to talk about going to be interesting or whatever. For me, I think that this was just an opportunity for me to connect with people, whether it be because of comedy or, personally. I wanted people who are interested in my comedy to get to know me a little bit better as a person. My things, what make me tick, the important people in my life.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, it's tough because people tell me all the time, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And it's like one person telling me, and it's hard because I do want to please everyone. I want every one of you who are listening to get what you want out of this podcast. That's hard. That's impossible. I can't do it.
No, I don't think you can.
And that's actually, believe it or not, something I've struggled with in my life. But not Summersby, man. They please every time. It's one of those things where I did that thing where I tried to please everybody and ended up disappointing everybody. You say yes to too many things, whatever. And so one of the things that I've worked on in the last couple of years, it's been very important to me. It's just, I don't commit to doing things. Or I don't say yes to people or anything like that unless I'm sure I can. I try my best to set proper expectations. If someone asks me if I can do something, I'll say, well, give me a time frame and I'll see if I can make that. I'm not going to say yes because I don't want to disappoint you. So But that need with the podcast and everything, that need and that desire to want to make everybody happy is still there. I'm just never going to do it. What one person might want is what, not. And I've had Chris last week is like, for fuck's sake, stop apologizing.
Yep.
If people don't like your podcast, they can listen to something. They could go to hell, I think is what he said, or go fuck themselves. But, and I even had a wonderful person who I met yesterday with my rideshare job who I told her I had a podcast. She binge listens. She even sent in a question, which I'll be reading shortly. So people are enjoying it, even though I'm like, I live these events, so they seem very secondary to me. But in terms of making a podcast, is if you're passionate about something, talk about it, research it a little bit. It's not that expensive. I did, I'll tell you what my secret sauce was for mine was that I knew that right away it wasn't going to be what I thought, be this great podcast that everyone was going to love. So do you hear that? Do you hear that notification, everybody? I've discussed this before. That's the Workout at Good Life notification. I deleted that fucking notification before I recorded this podcast. I deleted it out of the calendar.
Isn't it late at night though?
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
Was to work out at
it's not 11 o'clock now, but this notification is telling me to work out at 11 o'clock, which means it's probably getting close to 10.
Strange.
Yeah. I deleted it out of the calendar, and every subsequent one, I fucking, hey, but ding doo doo dee doo doo, there it is again. I don't know how to fucking describe it, but that's my life, guys. You're quickly learning that it doesn't matter how much I plan for, there will still be side steps. Anyways, what the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, my plan, my secret sauce was, while I am trying to develop a podcast and do something that's interesting to you guys, I didn't want anyone to have to struggle with the quality. All right. Because someone's like, oh, you don't need to buy all the equipment that you're buying. You can just record on your phone and upload it. And I said, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. If people are bored or if I'm just yammering on, I don't want them to have to struggle with the quality as well. I want at least the quality to be decent. So food for thought. That was my saving grace, I guess, is that I went and I got proper microphones, headsets, recording devices. I learned how to use sound carts and stuff like that and bought apps for the iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a shitty answer to your question, I guess.
No, that was good.
Yeah, you think so? I appreciate that. And the East Coast, of course, as if you've been listening to this episode, it went well. It was busy, but it went well. I had a great time.
It was good. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it was a great experience. I'll remember forever.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really stopped talking about it since I got back.
Yeah, me too.
So that's a good thing. Yeah.
Me too.
So Tiff writes, there's a lot of questions in this one, hon. So buckle up, baby.
Okay.
So Tiff writes, so happy you made it home safe. What would I do without my weekly podcast? Back to work, bucko. Questions for you. Oh, yes, I have some. You may have answered these already in your podcast, but anyways, did the B&B you stay at leave mints on your pillows? No, they did not. And Harrison, if you're listening, you fucking better. No, I'm kidding. No, so it was an Airbnb. No, it's no mints. It's like no tips on Uber, right? So you no mints in Airbnb. Did you even stay at a B&B? Yes, we did. Of course, we stayed at our wonderful.
Yeah, but he did leave a vase with fresh flowers.
Did he?
There was a vase of some kind of flowery thing, and a balcony had edible plants, kale. I don't know.
There was dill. I remember dill. Yeah, kale, because I was like, oh yeah, kale's not supposed to be good for you. He's like, well, it has more protein than I'm like, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
I just remember, the house that we stayed at, guys, was beautiful. It was beautiful. There's garden outside. It's one of those places that you go into and you're like, fuck, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I should have made better decisions. It was a beautiful home. And I was afraid to touch anything. Because everything was expensive. We had there was guitars in our room. We had guitars and a fucking giant telescope that I'm pretty sure cost more than our car.
Well, he was saying when he was giving us the tour, and if you play music, there's all these different instruments. Feel free.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's what I do. I just bust into song.
Okay.
Who the fuck is this guy?
I know.
John
I would
Lennon?
love to hear that. Come on, guys. Get it going.
Yeah. If you just feel the mood strike and you need to bust into melody, we have guitars, we have pianos. Yeah. It was great, Harrison. I'm not busting.
No, it was awesome.
You're listening, buddy, but that was fucking. It was. Yeah, I'm like, I would love to be that guy who's like, that's what I need. I just need I don't have my own. God, I just have that in me.
Yeah.
I have that
Yeah.
talent burning inside me that I can I just need the instrument. Just put my hands on those strings or those keys.
Yeah.
No, it was great. It was really funny. I enjoyed, yeah. And the edible, the whole place was beautiful.
Yep.
You know, we joked about the little guest house in the driveway, the little shed.
It was so
We're like,
small.
who lives out there? It's like, the grandmother. Like,
But
get
then
out
there
there.
was an actual house next to it, and it's like, oh, maybe that actually is.
There were so many like beautiful places there.
Yeah.
I kept joking. It's like, come on, Granny, you're gonna go live out there. You're uglying up the place. The whole house is beautiful. Yeah. So we're back to Tiff's email here. So yes, we did stay at a B&B. How long was the drive? So the drive was about overall 15 hours,
Yep.
I would say. And that's because we lost an hour, but no, 15.
To be fair, it's about 15.
Yeah, 15 hours. If you're just stopping quick, if you got to stop every hour and pee and have a bite to eat in a restaurant or something, it's going to really add up quick. But we did pretty good. Our stops were about 10 to 15 minutes long, and then back on the road. So stop at any sketchy bathrooms. Yeah, pretty much all of them. No, not. I mean,
No, it wasn't that bad, honestly.
depends on what you mean by sketchy. Dirty.
Yes,
I mean, I'm also using male washrooms and you're using female washrooms.
that's true.
Guys are like, I always say that women were like, you guys are fucking pigs. Like when we piddle a little on the seat or something or get a little somewhere, it's like, you guys are fucking pigs. Do you even care? I'm like, if you want to know how dirty men are, look at a public male washroom. Like that's us trying. Guys' bathrooms in public are fucking disgusting. I'm going to start taking pictures and showing you, hon, just so I don't get in shit anymore.
Yeah.
When I leave the seat up or something. They're gross. So I saw sketchy bathrooms, which were gross. Best food you ate was what? I think unanimously the crab fritters.
I think so. Yeah, hands down.
They were fucking amazing.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, from where? That would be the Waterfront Warehouse. Free plug for them again. What did Crystal eat? Same thing.
Yeah, we ate the same thing kind of the whole way along, actually.
Yeah, to have the experiences. She didn't like the wraps we made. She made all these great wraps the night before. She ate them the day we went down. And then that was my food in the car. I was eating the wraps. She didn't want those.
Yeah,
anymore.
another good one, though, was Donaires before we left.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Totally. So good. Oh, my God.
Yeah, we had Halifax Donaires
With
the
the
day we
sweet
left.
sauce.
With the sweet sauce. Oh, my God, guys, it was so fucking good.
So yummy.
We should have got more.
I know. Why didn't we do that?
Because I followed your lead.
No, you ordered first. It's all your fault.
Okay. They're
was
really
good.
good,
It was
guys.
good.
It's like kind of like spicy donair meat, and then there's a sweet sauce which cuts the heat down. If you haven't had donairs in Halifax, it's different. It's like getting a smoked meat sandwich in Montreal. I keep using that reference because it's the first one that comes to my mind, but it's like, they do it right there. And in Halifax, I've heard in Ottawa, we've had those donairs at Hooley's.
Yeah.
And I've been told the manager there flies the meat in from there. So Donair King in Halifax, that was the place that I'll give them a plug because it was delicious. And the guy who worked there was fucking amazing.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're traveling, so it'll be in the car. Okay, no problem. So he separated it. He put the tomatoes and the onions in its own container. He didn't put the sauce in because he said it'd be too messy. So he's like, just build it when you're ready to eat it. Like, oh, it was so nice.
Yeah, he put a lot of effort into it. Like everything got its own separate containers, then wrapped in tin foil, placed in bags, put plates and plates and napkins pretty standard. But the idea was just he made sure that we would have a good meal when we got to it.
Yeah.
So, it was so good. The donair. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. And now that I remembered it, I'm depressed I don't have it now. So yeah, I mean, was that the best? Was the crab fritters or the donair?
Crab fritters.
Crab fritters? Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's what I thought too.
But still.
Yeah, well, and the donair is very close second.
Yep.
I think so. So from where? Waterfront Warehouse for the crab fritters, which Matt said he made.
Yeah,
So,
he did say that.
Yeah, he said he had made those the night before. So the best thing that we ate came from my buddy who had made it. So the crab fritters were from the Waterfront Warehouse, and the donairs were from King of Donair. What did Crystal eat? The same thing. What is something you really wanted to do, but didn't have time? Just the rest of the Cabot Trail. For me.
I would say that. I wish we spent more time just exploring Halifax. I would have liked to see Peggy's Cove. Even any cove, honestly. We had originally planned to kind of see Fisherman's.
Cove, yeah.
we did get some pictures of a lighthouse, but it was kind of over the water, which is still nice. But it would have been nice to get some up closer with the water behind it.
Yeah.
But next time, it just means, hey, look, now we can make a list for next time, and you know. Yeah. So yeah, maybe if anything we missed, maybe that.
Yeah, and it was
in my
great.
books.
It was so fucking great. Well, and that's sort of thing. I mean, I'd love to go back next year and plan the whole week, and like I said, take the family so that way, you know, we get to share it and see more.
Absolutely,
it was so great, guys. Guys, if you haven't been, you gotta go. I think if there's anything that we've expressed, maybe not my I mean, no, maybe about it. Definitely not my funniest podcast, but if there's anything that you're getting from this, we holy shit, we had an experience when we went out there. Just getting back to your thing here. Did you guys get matching gear or swag on your trip? We wore matching lobster bibs.
That was our swag. We took pictures of them.
You got your Halifax shirt.
I did. I got a Halifax shirt because for some reason, okay, so the night before we left, the night I was supposed to pack, we started making drinks.
What did we drink, hon?
What is this called again?
White Summer.
White Summer.
We had like 3 of those.
We had like 3 of them, so I'm packing. And I don't drink much, so I was pretty tipsy. So in the morning, I'm like, I've got everything. I brought one shirt for the whole trip, and it was like, what the heck? So I'm like, I need to buy a shirt.
Yeah.
So
we were halfway to Halifax, and I'm like, honey, did you pack my swim trunks for the ocean tomorrow morning? And she's like, I don't even know what I packed for me. That was the conversation we had in the car. I go,
I had like shorts and pants.
Yeah, you had like what, 3 pairs of shorts and then like a pair of socks, and you're like, I don't know if I packed any shirts at all. It's so funny. And then in the morning, she's like, yeah, we're ready to go. So over there, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot my swim shorts. And she goes, wow, I'm talking. I didn't burp, but I felt, you could hear it coming up from my stomach. That's interesting. I packed it. Yeah, so no swim trunks. I just went to the beach in my, my track stuff. We didn't swim anyways. Yeah, it was too fucking cold, but we didn't. Everyone said it was gonna be cold. They laughed at me at the RCMP thing. They're like, "Oh, you guys we're gonna swim in the ocean." They're like, ha, "No, you're not. It's too fucking cold." They're so right. Yeah. So that was the one thing that was unanimous. Was like, "No, too cold." And I go, we're going in July. When the fuck is it warm? They're like, "It's not. Never." I'm like, okay. Yeah. There was that woman walking the beach though in the water. She's like, it gets warmer, but she stayed in the fucking water. I think her nerves were dead in her feet.
She must be. But once you were in it for a little bit,
you stopped feeling.
It was okay, but it was when you went out and then the blood started rushing back down. You're like,
yeah. As long as you kept the hypothermia in your feet, then you were fine. Imagine you just start walking. I'm fine as long as you stay in it. Then 20 minutes later, you take a step and your foot falls off. Oh. From the fucking frostbite or whatever. Yeah. It was painful. It was painful. So what else do we have? Yeah, we had matching lobster bibs. I meant to get a picture of you tonight in your Halifax shirt for the podcast, like with the headphones on and everything. I thought it'd be fun, but I couldn't remember anything. So that's the way it was. So whatever. We'll stage one later, maybe.
Okay, but you've just told everyone, honey. Jeez.
Yeah, they don't listen to me. They don't know. That scared the shit out of me. Brody just came around the corner and just gave us a wave. And it was like, what the fuck? Just my peripheral vision in the dark.
Well, we told him, like, I said, if you need to come up, just be very quiet and just make eye contact with us. Yeah. And if you need to signal something, I know, it was much
If you need to come up, don't say anything, be quiet, and then just fucking stare at me from the darkness if you could. Don't let me hear you coming, though. Scare the fucking shit out of me.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. Did it ever? So what else do we have? Did the people there have accents you couldn't understand? No.
Not at all.
Didn't really hear any East Coast accent. Maybe very slight, but I mean, we didn't really have a whole lot of time to talk to people. We had the beach to ourselves. Yeah. We sat by ourselves at the restaurant. They couldn't have someone at the restaurant like, hey, want to try it? Hey, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no weird accents. Couldn't understand any odd people in the streets like typical Rito kids or the have a dollar lady in Ottawa. Nobody.
Very clean.
There was.
What's happening over there?
I don't fucking know. What happens in your stomach after a white summer?
It's
Fall.
happening.
It's fall.
Fall.
I don't know. It was deliberate, but we did have. Remember, we were getting ready to go over the bridge in Dartmouth. Remember the cop behind us turned on the lights, and I wasn't sure if they were pulling me over, but it was for the panhandler guy.
Oh yeah, okay.
So yeah, I mean, there was a panhandler like there is here, just by the highways or whatever.
We saw a couple hitchhikers, but how much we traveled, really, I thought it was not too bad.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I thought it was standard issue for a city, to be totally honest with you. It didn't seem like there was any more. Anything you didn't like on your trip? That's just the time constraints. That was the only thing.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me, all that stuff that happened.
Yeah,
I was kind of like, I just want to go home. Like, I remember just feeling that, just there was too much, so many obstacles. But other than that, I really no blame at anything.
It was dark. There was no other traffic around. We were in the middle of the woods. We have no signal. We were running the potential chance of running out of gas.
Yeah, like it was just scary.
Yeah. So it was like, like I said, it went from being a beautiful experience to
the worst,
scary and terrible. So, yeah, I mean, it's a fun story to tell. It's like everything else I do. It's like, was it beautiful? Yeah, for the first part. And then the chuds came. No. What do we have here? Again, how was the GPS? Well, it wasn't like Montreal in the sense that it pointed me the right direction. It just fucking faded out.
Yeah.
At one point, you know what I mean? It was pretty good while we had signal, but then of course we were talking about investing in an actual GPS that's like satellite, so that we don't have that happen to us where we run into, in the middle of nowhere and just no signal means no directions.
I know. You know what though? I was cleaning up my car.
Yeah.
And I had to make room for, the first aid kit and all this stuff.
All those sandwiches you weren't going to eat?
Oh, stop it. And so I'm like, this old clunky GPS that I haven't used in years, I guess I'll bring that into the house to make room. We could have used that. Yeah. I really felt like such for doing that. Oh, wow.
Lesson learned.
We made it. We
did it on our own steam.
Yeah.
We did it on our own. Yeah, so anything you didn't like on the trip? Again, how was the GPS? Any Montreal moments? I think you're referring to my door and the key not working properly. I don't think we had anything like that. No real issues. Like I said, the big one was just on the Cabot Trail in the dark, the gas. What's one part of your trip you wish lasted longer? Of course, the Cabot Trail in the light, of course. We wanted it to fucking end quick in the dark, but we wish it had lasted longer in the light.
And Halifax.
Yeah. I mean, really, I wish the trip had lasted longer. But I mean, who couldn't say that about a vacation, right?
Yeah. No, it's true.
And then you wrote, of course, Richie says he has no questions for you. Lame. That's her husband. There's no questions. Can you tell I have not traveled much? Haha. Thanks for feeding my curiosity. Looking forward to upcoming episodes. Oh, by the way, the 20th, we find out if we're having a boy or a girl. I'll keep you posted.
Cool, Tiff.
Yeah. And did they have Summersby there? I don't know. We didn't ask. I had like a local beer, like a local amber. You had a Pinot.
Yep.
That was when we were at the Waterfront Warehouse. So I don't know. And then your last question, does Crystal like Summersby too?
I do. I do. I like the blackberry the best. I don't drink a whole lot.
No.
And I don't drink like beer much. So this is kind of the closest thing. I kind of like wine. But honestly, this is all I've been drinking lately.
Yeah. That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
I like the sweet drinks.
Yeah.
I do. I like drinking the sweet stuff.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thanks for writing in, Tiff. I appreciate it. She ends with just a talk soon. And then my last question this week, guys, is from Ashley. Ashley writes in, Dear Josh, today has been a day of ups and downs for me. This morning you were my blank rideshare company driver and kindly dropped me off at work while hooking me up with some free tickets to Absolute Comedy. Thanks again. You're very welcome. On the drive, you told me about your podcast, and since the moment I looked you up, I've been hooked and binge listening to your work while completing monotonous tasks. It's been great, but then I listened to episode number 6 and was rather perturbed by your definition of T and A in LGBTIQA+. I'm not sure where you found your definitions of T and A for the LGBTIQA+ community, but even in comedy, I find that one must be careful of how we use definitions in general, and particularly when speaking of communities. Of communities. Special caution must be taken when speaking of communities to whom you are not, and it's underlined, a member of. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I know how to underline a word. I always, you know what? She's very eloquent in the way she's writing. Yeah. I always wish I knew how to do that. Just the right places to underline a word or whatever. Like I would have bolded that. That's my go-to. So it just looks really well written to me by having that. But anyways, I apologize. I digress from the point of that sentence, which is special caution must be taken when speaking of communities to whom you are not a member of. Whether on stage or in your podcasts, you have the power to influence how people understand concepts, ideas, and in this case, the sexual and gender identities of members of the LGBTIQA plus community. I would like to suggest the following corrections to your definition of T in LGBTIQA+. Note, all of the following corrections are from this great resource, Trans Resource Guide from Carleton University's Gender and Sexuality Resource Center. While LGB focuses on sexual identity, T in LGBTIQA+ focuses on gender identity. T can refer to trans, transgender, transsexual, or two-spirit. Trans is an umbrella term for somebody whose gender identity or physical sex has changed within their life, or whose gender exists outside the gender binary male/female. I think that's C, but it's listed as B. Transgender is a person whose gender has changed within their life or who does not fit within the gender binary. D. A transsexual is a person seeking to change their physical sex in order to express their authentic gender. And finally, E. Two-spirit is an indigenous decolonizing identity, somebody who embodies the spirits of multiple genders. Two-spirit people may not necessarily identify with the word trans. I would also like to suggest that you check out the Washington Post article LGBTIQA+, a seemingly ever-changing acronym. Although A in LGBTIQA+ is often thought to stand for allies, in fact, that's rarely/only sometimes the case. A stands for asexual, aromantic, and all individuals on the A spectrum. Lastly, I feel that it is rather unfair of you to ask to the LGBTIQA+ community, even in jest, to create a shorter acronym for themselves. On the one hand, you make this joke as a privileged cis heterosexual male. On the other hand, the acronym in of itself barely encompasses or reflects the wide variety of identities and genders in the community. See Washington Post article. Josh, I really like your podcast, and I hope that you can do more research on this topic and make some corrections to the definition of T and A noted in episode 6. Yours sincerely. Thank you very much for writing in. I appreciate it. It's I right away like I knew that this question was here, and I did read it when you sent it in. I just wanted to share it with the everyone listening, just in case anyone else felt the same way. I'm just, part of me is a little concerned that I'm now so low energy that I might not be able to give it as much love and attention and focus as I can, but I'm still gonna give it the old college try. I did research. So I spoke about it initially because it came up in conversation about how another comedian that I was working with, his wife had to learn the new acronym, which, going off the top of my head, was LGBTIQQ2SA, I believe is the one that it was. So I was talking about it with, and I had a gay friend with me there who was helping us, because I'd only heard of a few of them, right? I'd heard of LGBT, yeah, there was 4 of them. And then it was like LGBTQ, and then it's this acronym that at least to myself, in a very short period of time, has been growing and changing. And I think that's what the name of that article that you sent me was, is that it is an ever-changing acronym. So at the time, it was just one of those, I would like to learn what this is. I'd like to learn more of it. So I actually did start Googling it. And one of the things that I ran into is that there didn't seem to be any one acronym. There seemed to be a different one in the States than there was in Canada. So the one that I received actually came from a government education form or memo sent out. So I didn't have the memo. It belonged to my friend whose wife works for the government here in Canada. So that was the one that he had. Now, I can't say that for a fact. I wouldn't stake my life on it or anything like that. But the truth of the matter is that's what was there. And when I looked it up, it appeared to be the one in Canada. And then I saw another one for the States, which, understandable, governments take different sort of, what's the right word? Not liberties or whatever. They're more careful, I guess, more discretion on sort of how they present something like that. It is a sensitive subject Without a doubt. And
Yeah.
honey, feel free to throw anything in here. I've got my moral barometer in front of me. I'm staring at her face right now to see if I'm being a fucking idiot or anything like that, because I can tell she's got a very good moral code. I was curious in learning more because I wanted to know. I'm not one of those people who wants to be ignorant. I want to know. In terms of just the way it's phrased about changing my definitions of T and A, personally, I don't feel like any of these are my definitions. I feel like I'd like to know more about them. But even in the research I was doing, I was Googling. I probably spent a good hour or so trying to Google and find some serious, I did everything from Wikipedia, I did Urban Dictionary stuff. Not to say that these are the best, most credible sources, but I was Googling everything. So top results, I was going to sites that typically people will go to for information, which is why I checked Wikipedia as well. And I couldn't find a consistent answer. There was none of them that shy of like, lesbian, gay, bisexual. Like that was where people were on. Intersex became one of them, which as I had mentioned was being described as effectively a hermaphrodite. But being called something that I don't even know if hermaphrodite is a negative term. No one said it. They would just say, prior, defined as hermaphrodite or whatever. So no one had mentioned whether or not it was a derogatory term or anything like that. And if it is, please forgive me for saying. But yeah, it was, so basically in this research, it was constantly changing and I couldn't be confident what was there. So basically what that was me saying was to try to shed a little bit of light. Cause there's some people who are like, I don't know what any of that shit is. Right. Which I don't think is a good attitude by any means, but the idea was, hey, let's see if we can give everybody a little bit more information on it. At least basically provoke the interest in yourself to do it. Now, maybe if I had stated that would have done it, but I had no confidence. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't listened to that episode in a while, but I'm pretty sure I was pretty open about how I'm not 100% sure on this. This is what I have found. Now you're right. I do have the power to influence people, but really, if anyone listens to my podcast, I'm the most unsure of myself person in terms of actually trying to educate anybody else. So in all fairness, it's not like I've got this definition of T and A that I'm steadfast to. I'm very open to learning more about it. And I do absolutely intend to read the 2 articles that you sent me because I would like to learn more about it. Even the acronym that you've used consistently in your email, LGBTIQA plus, is not the one that I found. I'm sure I stumbled across that one amongst many other ones. So for me in that particular instance, the level of confidence was not there. Now you say, I shouldn't unfair of you to ask to the LGBTIQA plus community to create a shorter acronym. Of course I was joking. And I think, and you even noticed that, you said even in jest, I was joking, not so much in the sense that they should change really because they should change. It's one of those things where if the acronym itself is not consistent across the board in communities, B, the definitions within the acronym are not consistent within the communities. I mean, all kidding aside, I will just come right out and say, of course I was fucking joking. I'm trying to take a serious subject and make it a little funny to make it palpable in the sense that, hey guys, big long thing like this, there's words with less letters in them than this. So an acronym, really the whole idea is to make something like that shorter and easier. So, first and foremost, yes, I was joking. I don't think anyone should have to change their acronym. But if we're going to turn it into a discussion of something of a serious matter, I will say that I think that community, there's a lot to understand. I think that's reasonable. There's a lot to understand in that. And especially when, like I said, the terminology in the community itself seems to have some sort of, disagreement or dialogue as to what means. Which one means this, which one means that, at least from what I've seen. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of consistency or agreement on what one definition means, which is why I had a hard time going, I'm confident in this. I think if you hear me reading it, I'm kind of going, this is what I found, this is what I believe it means. So again, anyone who's listening, please allow me to clarify that I had a lot of difficulty getting the information and getting something that I felt comfortable with. But I did my best to try to offer a little bit of education and information, it being Pride Month and it being something that came up in my life. Crystal was with me the night that I spoke, or not that night, the next night when I was talking about the acronym and how I was looking it up and stuff.
Yep.
And we together were going through it, trying to guess which ones before we did the research. So basically the long and the short of it is, I think that it's something that I'd like to know more about. Obviously, I don't like being the kind of person who walks around ignorant to things. I've never been the kind of person who goes, yeah, I know what this is. After everything I read, I still felt like, even though I could name the acronym or the word, I still didn't know what the vast majority of it meant. So in terms of the joke, if it's necessary, I'm sorry if I gave the impression that I was actually telling the community to shorten their acronym. However, I will say that people who are intolerant and don't understand, and it's very difficult to get them to understand, making something accessible, simple, and consistent would be helpful. Because like I said, I myself, I don't want to say open-minded because that makes me sound like, oh, okay, I'm open to no, there's people being people. But I was curious and I wanted to educate myself, and I feel like I'm better at digging than some. And so the idea that I'm open, I consider myself an ally without question. And I was looking for answers, and I had a very difficult time finding them. So I can only imagine somebody who's not as open-minded, or who's not as accepting, or I don't know, thirsty to understand. I can understand that being a big roadblock for them. So on a constructive note, I will. Yeah, I'm a cis male. I apologize. I haven't. I'm privileged, all that stuff, which I will be talking about in a minute. Yeah, I mean, all that shit aside, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm not telling a community that I'm not a part of what to do. But I am saying that the community who is probably on the outskirts, and obviously the where am I going with this? I don't want to say least accept. That's the shitty thing about it, is I'm trying to speak on behalf of people I'm not. I'm not unaccepting of it. I love everybody. So that's why I'm kind of going like, why why do I feel like I'm the bad guy? Do you know what I mean? Anyways, I'm sort of yammering on this. I'm sure the people who are not interested in this don't give a fuck. But the point being is, I don't feel like I attacked anything in a malicious way. And I think that the joke, every joke has a bit of truth. The truth is, it's a long acronym. It's an acronym that's different amongst different communities, in the sense that like different countries have a different acronym for it. You know what I mean? So I guess the point that the truth behind the joke was, it's long and it's hard to understand. So if something's long and it's hard to understand, what do? You simplify it. Yes, I'm not in the community. It's not my place to say, but it was a joke. And I do apologize if it hurt anyone, or if anyone took the impression that I was actually coming at them. I wasn't. I was just joking. I also joked that the acronym itself looks like someone leaned on a keyboard, but it's a joke. And I'm sorry if it was offensive. I will say that I do have a personal policy on jokes, and that is, I think I sent this back to you in the email, was that I listened to an interview with Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I think this was after they did the South Park movie Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, which was after their second season. So at least 18 years ago, maybe 16 years ago. They're in the season 20 now, and that was after season 2. So I remember they were doing an interview, and somebody asked them, is there anything that you guys won't make fun of? Like, what's that? Do you ever sit down and come up with an idea for a joke and go, no, we can't do that. That's too far. And they said, no, because we have decided long ago that everything is funny. Everything, there's nothing that's off limits, because as soon as we decide, you know what, this isn't funny, we can't joke about this, this is off limits, then everything that we've done before becomes bigot and racist and everything like that, because we've now decided, picked and choose what we're going to make fun of. But if everything's open for joking, everything across the board at all times, then we're not bigots, we're not prejudiced, because everything is open for it. And I heard that, I was very young at the time, but I heard that and I go, yeah, that is the fairest way. If everything's funny, then nothing's not funny. There's no lines, there's no separation, whatever. And that's what I hold it. So if I hear an opportunity to bring levity to something, I will. I think I've talked in the podcast before that people process things differently. You know, we're in a society now that quote unquote claims to be, you know, accepting and inclusive and all that. And never have we been in a time where people are told more and more what they can say and what they can't and what's okay and why your opinion doesn't matter and why mine does and all this shit. I really feel like I just like to be honest. I like to bring humor. I think it's weird that we can't process things with humor, right? People can cry and it's okay. People can have, you know, different ways of thinking of things and expression and all that shit's okay. But people like myself, comedians who we don't know how to process shit without humor, it's kind of like, oh, if you joke about it, you're a bad person. Like, why? It's just another way to process something. And maybe it's not palatable for you. Maybe to cry about everything isn't palatable to me. I can't process pain that way. I don't know. Fuck. I'm off a little bit in what I'm saying, but I'm just trying to say that I think comics nowadays, like, we're some of the last truth tellers in the world. And, you know, people respect, you know, stand up because they wait for us to tell things like they are sometimes. We do have a lot of diluted, you know, conversation and context of things in life, whatever. And that's kind of what I've always enjoyed. I mean, I've had a lot of people go, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Because I was funny in situations that it took me a long time to find out what was okay and when it wasn't. But, I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where I kind of feel like I'm not going to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, but at the same time, if something happens and I process it, something new that I don't understand, I could be the kind of person who would rather get angry about it and go, what the fuck is that? I ain't getting on board. Or I can make a joke, which makes it, you know, it brings levity to it. It makes it less threatening to me because I've joked about it. I mean, when we were fucking lost in the Cabot Trail, I was cracking jokes the whole time because I was scared. I didn't know what the fuck if we were going to run out of gas, we were going to be stuck in the middle of the night, if the car was going to break down, right? Well, I didn't know, but I was cracking jokes because that's how I deal with tense situations, things I don't understand, things I don't know. You know what I mean? It's not because I'm a bad person. It's because that's how I process things. And yeah, like I said, I did make the joke, and I'm sorry. I never in a million years dream of hurting somebody, but I can't say like, oh, I wish I hadn't done it. I don't. That's how I deal with things. And like I said, I felt like of all the things that are said, you know, I really didn't feel like that was that harsh. But I do respect, you know, your right to the opinion. The other thing that I've been trying to tiptoe around, and it's becoming more and more prominent, and now it's sort of forgive the term, it's in my face with your email, is the whole, like, you know, my privileged cis heterosexual. Ashley, I appreciate your email, and this is not directed at you. This is just a reminder of it. But I personally, now I'm a white male, right? So whatever I have to say about the subject immediately gets discredited because I'm privileged and I'm this and that. This is the closest I think I will get to actually mad on my podcast. If you can hear anything, that's Crystal petting the dog and holding him. No, it's okay. You get little kisses and stuff. I'm about to get real mad while the little dog's making out with my girlfriend across the table. She's being so good. I'm just staring at your face to make sure I'm not a complete ass.
Quiet.
You're doing a wonderful job. There's a lot of fuckers out there that have shitty negative opinions towards a lot of different people in a lot of different positions. And we're hitting a weird time now where we're not listening to each other. Avenues of dialogue are shutting down, and we're making up new buzz terms, new hashtag bullshit ways. Forgive me, because I feel very passionate about this. And again, I'm a white male, so we can just sweep whatever thoughts and opinions and feelings I have on it. Just sweep them right off the table. Why? Because I'm privileged. So fuck me for having an opinion. I sound like I think I sound like the people that we're talking about, you know, when we say those things right now. And I apologize for that. So I hope you stick with me to make my point. But I think everyone has the right to an opinion. Everyone has one, and I think everyone has the right to one. I personally don't care where you come from or where you've been. I am the same way I'm curious and thirsty to learn new things. I am interested in hearing other people's opinions. I think that this privileged shit, yeah, do I have advantages being a white male? Sure I do. But I believe everyone has advantages and disadvantages. And I think that the society that we're living in now, that this privileged shit where it's like, oh, well, you gotta check your privilege. That's just a way of saying, you know what, your opinion means less because you have this privilege, which to me doesn't sound like a privilege. And of course, yes, I have advantage. I get that. But guess what? We knew that before. No one's teaching anybody anything by going, hey, check your privilege. That's fine. If people want to start telling other people that their opinion means less or their thoughts mean less because of their privilege, fine. But to me, I will never say that to somebody. There's psychology and relationship exercises in that where not just the exercises, but just the theories and everything behind it is that everybody's feelings matter. If you're in a relationship and one person acts like their feelings are not important, one person's feelings are not as important as another, we all know that's bullshit. That hurts relationships to act like one person's feelings don't matter. And now we're in a global relationship trying to have dialogues with each other. Okay. And we've got these fucking buzz terms like privileged or mansplaining, which I hate it. I feel like that's basically saying, I looked up the other day. I thought mansplaining was anytime you're a man trying to defend your position. So again, just like the LGBTIQA+ situation, I didn't understand the definition of mansplaining. I've since found out that mansplaining means that a man who's explaining something to a woman, talking down to them in a real childish, simple way, which used to be a word called condescending. It just meant that you were condescending to somebody, and it didn't have gender attached to it. But now we've got this word mansplaining, which looks great with a hashtag in front of it that basically says, oh, it's a gender thing now. It's condescending. We don't need this new buzz term, but what it's done is told one gender that and you're still a piece of shit if you're condescending to someone. Don't get me wrong. It's wrong no matter what. But now we've associated a gender with it. We've drawn more lines between each other with it. We've decided that when one person does it, it's worse. It's this. It's got a buzz term for it now. And I think that's wrong. I think a lot of things in society right now are wrong in the sense that we're trying to tell each other that some people, and why would I be upset? Well, because you're a white privileged male who's deciding that I don't even get it. That's the thing that really sucks, is I feel like I'm in a position where I can be a good person and I can come at nobody. In fact, I can even try to understand and be the best person I can be. And I'm in a position now where to have an opinion on something that's going on, there's buzz terms like privileged and mansplaining. That because of my gender, because of the color of my skin, I don't get to have feelings and thoughts on something. I got to quote unquote check my privilege before I talk about something. We used to be able to have conversations with each other. We used to listen to what each other had to say and then decide whether or not there was merit. And we knew based on the other person's, position, where they were coming from. People could offer you thoughts and you didn't go, well, wait a second, before I hear what you have to say, let me just make sure I check a few boxes off on your fucking position. Anyways, I'm not going to keep harping. I might start talking in circles, but I think that if you go into a conversation with anybody, and I mean you as in the royal, not Ashley again, who I really hope, I'm just talking in general. I really do appreciate your email because like I said, this whole mansplaining privilege, I don't care, whatever, whomever, gender, race, sexual orientation, identity, whatever it is, if there's something that people come at you and they throw a label at you to dismiss any thoughts or feelings that you have, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You're a person. I don't give a fuck anything else that comes after it. You have thoughts, you have feelings, and you deserve the same seat at the table, the same voice. And I think, and I don't care who you are, guys, if you are one of those people who has decided that you are going to dismiss somebody else before they've said anything based strictly on the color of their skin or anything, you're going at it the wrong way. You're not open. You're not creating a new equality system. You've already segregated the person before you've given them a chance to speak. And I wish that I was the most unfortunate case person saying this so that you could take my words seriously. But unfortunately, I'm just a white, privileged male, maybe mansplaining at you. So
I was just going to say minority or majority, it should still apply the same, right?
Yeah.
You should all get the same respect.
And that's really all it is. It goes back to that feelings thing, right? Nobody should feel like their feelings aren't important. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that you could just sweep somebody's thoughts and opinions and anything, and I'm still talking about respect. I'm not saying somebody who's being an ass about it being rude, being condescending, being disrespectful. No one should have to endure that either. But I'm saying that if a conversation starts with you can't, before you say anything, make sure you check your privilege. What do you mean check my privilege? Here's my life experiences. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? Why does that other shit matter? Yeah, sure, it's an advantage. I'm not going to tell. I guess that's maybe part of it too. Is if somebody who's in a different position is telling you what it's like to be in your position, that's bullshit too. But the idea is to dismiss somebody's thoughts on something because of the color of their skin or whatever. I don't know. I think that's fucked up. But what do I know? I'm just a fucking comedian who puts in, an hour's worth of effort before he does a podcast. So I guess I hope I've addressed everything here. And Ashley, I really hope that I hope that we've connected in some way. In terms of maybe giving some more insight as to where I was coming from at the time. Obviously, I do need to do more research on it. I hope that that podcast I did not leave the impression that I was like, hey, here's what it all means. That's it. That's all. Dust my hands off. Case closed. Like, no, that was what I had at the time. And as it is an ever-changing acronym. And of course, all my listeners who are hearing this now, please know that that's not obviously the accurate definition. And if you want to know more, right? Go learn more, right? Don't ever stop learning. Safe is dead. The world is going to keep changing. Let's all change together. Let's stop putting each other in boxes and labels and everything like that. Be good to each other. I read a great book. Speaking of audiobooks, I got The Ultimate Happiness Prescription from the library, a book by Deepak Chopra. And it's I didn't get all the way through it, but it was outstanding. And one of the things that was in it was to give up the need to be right.
Yeah.
So there's no part of me that's like, I'm right about this. I've become more and more of a person who's like, here's what I think. Here's my side of it. And his point was that whenever you have to be right, that means that somebody else has to be wrong. And to make somebody else feel wrong hurts relationships infinitely more than being right in that moment. It affects things long-term, makes people feel like, obviously made someone feel wrong. That's a terrible thing. And to keep pushing for it. So anyways, great book, guys. If I can recommend anything to make us all better people, Ultimate Happiness Prescription by Deepak Chopra. That's the podcast, guys. If you want to send me an email and tell me how to think and be a better person, I'm sorry, Ash. I'm just teasing a little bit, but yeah, I mean, please feel free to help me understand more. Every day I get up and I want to understand my world and everything a little bit better, and of course understand where you guys are coming from. I like that. Contact at onemanpodcast.com, guys. That's how you can send stuff in. As always, I had my angel here, Crystal. Thank you so much for spending 2 hours with me talking. We just hit the 2-hour mark on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Great trip.
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. There you go. That's all you need. No stars, guys. Thumbs up. Thank you one more time to our gracious host, Harrison, who had us in Halifax, guys. I'll try to find a way to plug that particular Airbnb link. Maybe what I'll do is I'll throw it up on the One Man Podcast. So Facebook, One Man Podcast, Instagram, Twitter. I'm running out of steam too. I got so much fucking packing up too, all the equipment. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the One Man Podcast. I will be back next week. Got nothing coming up this week. Little lady's birthday party on Saturday. And that's going to be fun. We'll talk about that next week. Thanks for listening to this long-winded, me changing the world podcast. Talk to you soon.